Well, good evening. It's my privilege to lead us in a reflection on Christmas, this Christmas Eve. And I've chosen as my text a reflection by the Apostle John on the meaning of Christmas, which you'll find for you in your outlines there. Let me read it for us. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love. Not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. Well, I wonder, if you could ask for anything this Christmas, what would you ask for? If you could ask for anything, what might you ask for? Earlier this year, I was with my family and we were clearing through a whole lot of my grandmother's things after she had passed away. And I found a letter that a 9-year-old me had written to my grandmother entitled, "Things I Want for Christmas!" And as you might see, it's got 19 items on this list. It includes things like a camera and binoculars, which I didn't get. It includes an animal equals puppy, which I didn't get. It includes socks and underpants, in brackets, lots. Some things never change. And it includes enormous, fluffy bear, rabbit, or any animal, just as long as it is big as my sister's. Nothing quite like a bit of twin sibling jealousies at Christmas time. What might you ask for if you could ask for anything? You see, my guess is that actually we wouldn't ask for stuff. You see, I think we know it, don't we? That Christmas actually isn't about the presents. It's not about the food and drink. It's not even about the holidays, or the Boxing Day test match, or the Boxing Day sales. In the last couple of weeks, I read a news article celebrating the movie Love Actually, which I'm sure many of us know. It came out 15 years ago at Christmas time. And the article said how one of the surprising things about Love Actually is how popular it's been as a movie. On paper, it's a movie which should fail. It's got 10 separate plots, intricately woven together, but kind of mashed awkwardly. But as it turns out, Love Actually has been incredibly successful. It's become one of the Christmas classics. You may well see it on TV this Christmas. And I think this is why. I think it's because Love Actually taps into something deep which we all know about Christmas. That Christmas should actually be about love. In what is perhaps the theme song of that movie, we hear the words that I'm sure many of us know. I don't want a lot for Christmas. There is just one thing that I need. Make my wish come true. All I want for Christmas is you. Now, in the movie, it's mainly romantic love. But it highlights what I think is true. That what we really want for Christmas is love. Loving relationships. It could be with our spouse or our in-laws, our siblings or our children, our grandparents or our crazy opinionated cousin. What we want is loving relationship. That's what makes the best Christmases so good, isn't it? People coming together, sharing, talking, adults laughing, kids playing, grandparents telling stories to little ones on their laps, parents arm in arm. That's what we hope for, isn't it? Deep, rich, intimate, loving relationships. But while we hope for all that at Christmas, the reality is usually a little different, isn't it? Even the best Christmas, well, after a few short hours, it's like the Christmas snow in an Australian summer. It melts away. And most of the time, our Christmases aren't those best Christmases. You see, instead, kids text on their phones, siblings fight, grandpa is ignored, parents divorced, and grandmom has passed away. You see, so often, instead of connection, there's conflict. Instead of intimacy, there's indifference. Instead of adoration, there's absence. Instead of loving relationships, there are fractured relationships. But the wonderful news that we hear from John's reflection on the first Christmas is that Christmas really is about love. In fact, it's about love and a relationship far more dazzling and beautiful and wonderful and fulfilling than anything we could imagine. John says, "See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. This is how God showed his love among us. He sent his one and only Son into the world that we might live through him. This is love, not that we loved God, but that he loved us and sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins." John says that Jesus coming into the world is about an astounding love, and the love which we all can know and partake in. That Jesus came into our world, born as a human, lived, died on a cross, that we might have life, that we might be brought back into relationship with God again. You see, the problem is our lack of love. The word John here uses is our sins, the way that we haven't loved God and haven't loved others. The way that, if we're honest, often in life we behave a bit like that indifferent, aggravating family member at a Christmas lunch. And just like a family member's indifference and conflict might mean that they are not welcome at your Christmas table, so our indifference and conflict means that we are not welcome at God's. You see, spiritually, it's like we are alone, drinking down at the pub. But John says, while we have not loved God, he has loved us. So much so that he sent his Son as an atoning sacrifice for our sins. That's the means by which two estranged, hostile parties might be brought back into relationship again. See, Jesus' life and death is the means by which our sins might be dealt with, removed, forgiven. We might be restored to God again. It's like God sending Jesus down to the pub to find us and bring us back to him. And when God does that, we are welcomed and seated and honored and blessed in such tender relationship. It's like we are God's very own children. See what great love the Father has lavished on us, that we should be called children of God. It's the greatest gift we could ask for. The gift of God at Christmas is knowing His love. Now, I do love the movie Love Actually, but God's love, it's so much bigger and deeper and better than anything we could see there. See, instead of being just a love for the attractive or beautiful, God's love is for the lowly, for sinners who've fallen short of His standards. Instead of being a love for what it can get out of it, God's love gives and sacrifices. Instead of a love which gives up when things get difficult, God's love continues through rejection and hurt and conflict. See, I think John would say, with all due respect, God's love is love actually. And that love, that relationship, is the gift that God offers us through Jesus Christ. That wayward, indifferent, hostile people might be called His children. I pray that this Christmas you might know true love, the love of God in Jesus. Merry Christmas.